Okay, so good evening, everybody. I am going to call the EDC, Economic Development Commission meeting to order. First, welcome to everybody who's here. It's been a while. We haven't met since March. And just to recap all of the changes that we've had, we have had Ray Mead has departed. In his place, we have a new former member, Craig Dauphiné, who will not be joining us tonight. So Craig is a longtime Grafton resident. He knows the drill. We also have a departing consultant, John Allen, who was the consultant who worked with the town of Grafton on this, the EDC committee. He left on June 30th. So Evan Broussard, who is our town administrator, is here with us tonight to talk about some of the process and budgetary changes that will impact things. I would just like to introduce Angela Achu. And Angela, maybe you could just tell us a little bit about yourself, and you're the newest member of the
Thank you.
EDC.
Thank you, Laura. Angela Achu. This is my hometown, born and raised in Grafton. My mother and father, same thing, born and raised, met in high school, in Grafton High School, and my family, the next generation, came to be. So I am thrilled to be here, thrilled to be able to be a part of the commission, be able to give back to my hometown. And I'm an attorney, and my background is pretty much in real estate, construction, planning, development. So a lot is based in commercial development, impacts with residential, a lot of good work with community development. So I'm excited to be able to bring that experience here to Grafton and be able to work not only with my colleagues, fellow members, but I understand our role is helping to support the planning board and the select board and any other boards that we have the opportunity to engage with.
Okay, great. Carl, I know you are a former president of this commission, and while you're known to us, just
Sure.
in terms of the new people who might watch this, just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, good evening, everyone. Carl Moisen, 35 Magnolia Lane in North Grafton. I'm currently the president and CEO of Homefield Credit Union. I've resided in town for just over 13 years and live, work, and I coach at the high school, and so been on this Economic Development Commission for the better part of, I think, 5 or 6 years. So, that's me.
Okay, and Nicole Ethier. Am I saying that correctly?
Ethier,
Ethier, okay.
but it doesn't matter. Nicole Ethier, 19 Patricia Drive. I've been on the committee now, I think, a little over a year or so. I'm a real estate agent. I just transitioned jobs the last couple of years into real estate. Prior to that, I was in corporate America doing my thing.
Okay. And I am Laura DiDio, 4 Nichols Drive, right in the middle of Grafton. And I have been a resident in town for nearly 25 years. I am, by trade, an investigative reporter. I've worked for outlets like, on-camera outlets like CNN, Channel 5 News in New York, Channel 11 in Minneapolis. I've done work for the Village Voice, the Minneapolis Tribune, the New York Times, etc. And I am also I have my own business called ITIC here in town. It's Information Technology Intelligence Consulting Corp. And I specialize in high-tech writing, reports, surveys, and I'm an analyst. So I love Grafton, like all of you do, and I am very invested in seeing Grafton thrive as we grow. So that's where we are. So now what I'd like to do is bring on Evan Broussard, who is Grafton's town administrator. He's our guest speaker for this evening, and this is a good kickoff as we reconvene, because we haven't met in 6 months because of the changes. So Evan and I had the opportunity, when I found out there were all these changes, and it was sort of, oh, okay, well, who's doing this? I took the initiative, and we got together to talk about some of these things and what it means in practical terms that John is gone and we have, some new people coming in, and what we can do, maybe get started with, some mission statements, et cetera, and figure it out. Evan, you have the floor.
Okay, thank you. So as Laura had said, we had some internal changes here at the town of Grafton. So the Economic Development Coordinator position no longer exists. We had made some changes to allow for some additional planning staff to be brought on board. As you may have noticed, Grafton has quite a bit of development going on right now. And that's really the hotspot that we're trying to gain our staffing. So what that looks like is we have the town planner, then the assistant town planner, and then an admin in that department. With the full expectation that the town planner and assistant town planner would support this committee in any of its activities that it may need staff support to achieve. That being said, we did wipe the budget out for economic development pretty hard. It was a tight budget year. However, I also fully anticipate that as the group kind of respawns and comes up with ideas and things it may have to do, that there will be some financial impact from that, and I will work with you to get those projects funded, as well as develop a line item going forward in the budget for anything that you may, see as a recurring kind of event or program that you may want to see. But until we know what that dollar amount is, I just shifted the money around a little bit.
I know you said the planner and assistant town planner would be available to help us on some things, but do we still, as a town, have someone who is maintaining and updating our website?
We do.
Could we work with that person? Because we could do something as simple as just outlining the opportunities in Grafton for
Right.
economic development, which
Yeah.
I don't think is very easy to find on our website now.
Right.
But if we had somebody who could pull that together for us, then that would be really helpful.
Yeah, I mean, I think we could look at that. I do have 2 people on my staff that are very adept at using the website and making changes and anything that is identified. They took away my login, so I can't help you.
Okay. Who are those people?
So William Blake is our assistant town administrator,
Okay.
and Amber Diffenderfer will be Amber
Monk,
on
after
Monday.
this, yeah.
She is also very adept and does quite a bit of our back-end stuff on the website,
Nice.
so.
Yeah, and Amber has been very helpful in
Yeah.
sending out, because with John gone, none of us here have a Town of Grafton email address, so somebody has to send out the meeting invites, not that,
Right.
Get-
She helps our Affordable Housing Trust, and
Yes.
is very responsive.
Yes,
so
she is.
She's
Yeah,
great.
Amber's really good.
Yeah.
yes.
So anything you may need in that vein, we can keep that kind of going through Amber.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Okay,
So would that include the meeting minutes, that you could help us with that for this meeting, for our regular meetings, that we could get some help putting together some written meeting minutes?
Yeah,
I'm writing them up as we talk.
Okay.
so if assistance is needed, let me know and we'll figure
Yeah.
that out.
And then that's a great point, Nicole. Email addresses for us. That's something that maybe we could get set up by the technical staff.
So you won't have individual email addresses,
Okay.
but we could look at creating edc@grafton-ma.gov.
I believe there is a
We have that,
distribution list
we have
already.
the
Yeah.
distribution list, but
Okay.
But I
I
think-
I
also.
think Angela just needs to get added to that.
Yeah,
I think
Were
I
you-
did, I am.
Yes,
Okay.
Angela was added. I talked to everybody. Cindy, Amber.
Yeah.
I made the rounds. So, but I can send around the personal email addresses too, because people like Sean, who's not here this evening, he uses a couple of different ones, and, which is not unusual. But,
Yeah, we don't really have the capability to create email addresses and store all the data for all board and committee members, so we do them as, kind of as blocks.
Makes sense.
okay.
I'm just concerned about us emailing and then having, if we get a recall, like on our emails and having to produce them, we're using personal email accounts,
Yeah.
so that's a problem. So that's the reason why I'm
Yeah, no, I
asking.
I understand.
Yes.
No, I understand, but I mean,
Yep.
we can email each other just to ask a question that doesn't have to do directly with business. We're not going to go offline and talk amongst ourselves, you and me about, oh, what do you think about this happening here? Now, I'm talking about if there's, just in case of emergency, but I do think that you're on the EDC list.
Yes, on
So-
the distribution list,
Yeah.
yes.
So, one of the things, Evan, I wanted to go over, and it was a topic that we brought up during our meeting, was people come and go, and there are different foci, if you will, or priorities set for this. For instance, John Allen had come up with the idea based on a remark that was made at a select board meeting, planning board meeting, that we should try and attract people, business to a 100,000 square foot building. And I don't know how practical that is in the short term. So I think we want a mix of tactical as well as long-term strategic goals. The other thing that John did that was, I thought was very good, was we had a luncheon. Grafton is open for business, and some of us were there, and that was very successful. That was over at one of the admin buildings at Tufts. And then more recently, in January, on a very cold night, we had a very successful event that Nicole was the catalyst behind at the post office pub. We had a great turnout. I would say that there was at least 65, 75 people there. And ideally, at the time, we had talked to people about doing it again. So Nicole, you know how much that all costs, but I mean, that's something I think would be great to do maybe in November, prior to Thanksgiving. Maybe we could call it a harvest thing, or December, just meet and greet and talk to people, the small businesses here and the other businesses. I mean, we could also endeavor to really get representatives from Wyman, Gordon, some of the other places that are here, in the larger businesses that are here in town as well. Is that something that we can fund? I mean, Nicole, you know how much it cost. I don't think it was.
No, John took care of all that, the pay piece, because he was working for the town, so he knew what the budget was.
Yeah, I could.
So
find that.
I organized it, and then he was like, okay, I'll
If,
pay the
We could-
bill through
All right,
Grafton.
if I could, I think what I would like to see is a little bit of a clearer direction / thought process on what the role of EDC is for the town.
right,
And I think, we've gone from, and I'm just using history, kind of being a group that just got together and we talked about things and nothing never seemed to happen. And then we were kind of moving forward at a good pace. We put on some different events that were, I think, productive overall. Especially the one at Tufts and the one at the post office pub was well-attended and I think advantageous for not only the EDC, but the town. So I think, if we could get in, we've had a meeting with the former select board members, and this is a couple years back, on some direction, and I think should the direction come from them, or is it coming from you, or where's it coming from?
No,
And
it-
what should
yeah.
it be?
It should come from them.
Yep,
I've been doing this for a long time now. So, I think that's a challenge to get 5 people to tell you what the one direction for the town should be. I think that, we might be able to derive some of your group's direction from the select board's goals that they're working on now. But I think, as Laura and I discussed, it really comes down to trying to understand the definition of economic development in the town of Grafton, because everybody says economic development and everybody has a different thought process in their head. And so there's, I think, 2 ways that this board could approach it. You could go back to the select board and say, okay, select board, hash this out for us and tell us what the direction is. Or this group can have a conversation and develop some goals and a direction and go to the select board and say, here's the direction we're headed in. What do you think?
I think it would be easier to do that. And then, based
I
on their
agree.
feedback, we can tweak them.
Yeah,
But I think it will be really hard to go approach them without any.
Yeah, the last meeting we had, I think, if I'm remembering it correctly, Carl, that's the one where, one of our select board members, Colleen, said, I think of economic development as big development, 100,000 square foot and bigger
Yeah.
buildings. And then John took that and ran with it, but that wasn't the board's vision. That was just one person saying what they thought of economic development. So I think that if you have a area that you as a group are most interested in focusing, I think that they would be receptive to that, and it's probably an easier way to pinpoint the direction. Because when I came on board, you were doing, it was COVID, obviously, so we were
Yes.
doing like, the Grafton business model where you were giving out gift cards and trying to stimulate the small business action in the town of Grafton, which I think
worked
is-
for that time.
yeah,
It did.
keep them going, and, yeah, exactly. yeah.
Exactly. So great program. It's going to be hard, in my opinion, for this group to go and hunt for developers to come into town and do humongous,
Yeah,
like the UPS project we're going through right now. That would be extremely hard for a group of volunteers to have, made that connection, and, because we're meeting with them, twice a week. So that's hard to do. But I think like both Laura and Carl have said, and, I think it's coming up with what your mission is and what your target focus needs to be, I think is the key for your group. Otherwise, you're gonna keep doing work and meeting and accomplishing,
Very little.
Very little.
And I think, I guess that's where, in our discussions as a commission, is to kind of define those goals. Any goal, most goals, if you go around different cities and towns and ask them, the EDC, I know a couple people in the Marlboro EDC, and they're all about creating tax revenue for the town or the city.
Right.
And that's generally what an EDC is trying to do. So is that our main focus, and how do we do that? And I think, there's gonna have to be several discussions to kind of, boil down the whole thought process, if that makes any sense.
yes. What I would posit is that it doesn't have to be mutually exclusive with just one main goal.
No, it's
You know,
probably
we could have-
several that all
we could
build
have
up
a-
into, several, goals, or maybe 7. I like to condense things into like
Yes,
bite-sized pieces, so if it's,
consumable.
the EDC goals are 1, 2, and 3. But what's behind 1 is several things, what's behind 2 is several things, what's behind 3 is several things that all add up into those 1, 2, and 3. That makes any sense?
Yes.
Okay.
And actually, so let's take that and run with it here. What would be helpful is if, we all go home with some homework and think about this, and for the next meeting, talk about, let's put those boilerplate ideas up there. What are the 2, 3 mission statements, and then at the next meeting, when we convene, we can add some meat to that. One thing that, just switching gears a little bit here, that we did do back in January, people seemed very anxious, the attendees, to, hey, let's have another one of these. So again, I come back to the idea, if there's money in the budget to do a similar thing at, like the post office pub, it's central, they have the meeting room, it went over well, and maybe at that point, before it happens, if it happens, refine what we're going to do at the meeting a little bit more, like have a presentation. Hand out some things, where they could do a short informal survey for us, saying, what would make it easier for you to do business here in Grafton? Or how do you think we can attract new business? I mean, we have a lot of entrepreneurs here and a lot of very talented people, so we should tap into that.
I think your idea is there. I guess my thought would be, for us to make a presentation, we want to make sure that we have those discussions
Yes,
before we go to that meeting.
absolutely.
But we'd also want the select board to be able to add their thought process, because ultimately, it's their thought process that we're gonna have to
Yeah.
go with.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I guess, so, we're talking, you mentioned January, we're looking to set dates for October, November, and December, that we're talking about 90 plus or minus days, and then we get into January, I don't know if that will be accomplished by then. I would like to think that it would be accomplished by then, but that's a lot of boiling down of
True.
a thought process.
But it's something, we don't have to commit to it right away. We
No,
can see how
I-
we're going, but
yeah.
it's a goal to shoot for.
No question.
And if we're not ready, we're not ready, and we just, recalibrate and keep on plugging,
Pushing, right, yeah, okay.
But I mean, we have some very talented, and energetic people here, and we all want the same thing. Economic.
We think we do.
Well,
Right, just
no,
wait.
we want Grafton to thrive,
I think that's probably the number one priority that we can all agree on.
yes.
And it's how we get there is where all the juicy discussions will go.
Sure, you take a Cadillac, I'm on my horse, I get it.
I'm not driving a Cadillac.
Well, whatever. But, Angela, your thoughts?
So my hearing, going around the room, I think what we're talking about is developing a mission statement.
Yes.
And setting forward some goals and looking at identifying an event. And that event could just be one where we're welcoming businesses of all types, small, medium, large businesses, bringing them in and getting feedback from them, what they could use, those that are interested in coming here, those that are here. And I think that would help inform our goals and what we could be working toward. The existing businesses, I'm sure that they've got feedback that they'd like to give us, on economic development, and from it, it may spur other businesses. And I'm also thinking Grafton is comprised, we have a number of small businesses. And I think some of it also probably comes down to is, what does small mean? What does medium mean? What does large mean? So.
True, well, I would say the small businesses outnumber the large, as is the case just, nationwide as well. But we have, I guess the largest one is Washington Mills and Wyman Gordon. Now, those are the two big ones.
Currently, yes.
Currently,
And then it will be UPS, will be
Yes.
our largest. Yes, you're right, so.
Yeah. And then after that, I mean, Tufts is a business, but
Not in the same sense.
not in the same sense.
And I think that's a good point, right? When we talk about it, I think of Tufts as like a nonprofit, an educational institution. And I think that's a good point to bring up, because what does that generate for other business in this town? And so that's it's a good piece.
But they are a for-profit in terms of their large and small vet clinics.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't generate revenue in the same way
No,
that a
not for us,
UPS
but I
would.
mean, yes, but yeah,
You mean
generally,
tax basis, is that what you're thinking of when you say
yes,
yes?
from a tax-based
Yeah.
So
standpoint.
Sure.
they have a very big tangential effect on Grafton in that they are a large employer of people that need workforce housing. They need housing for their students, and they also, you know, create opportunities to kind of create parallel partnerships, which is, you know, when we're looking at, we just went through the permitting process with 124 Westboro Road. That's 200,000 square feet of light industrial / lab space. So that's directly related to the fact that we have Tufts right up the street that, you know, produces the people that would work in a place like that. So you have that type of economic growth, which is, you know, extremely difficult to measure and quantify, but it's not a direct growth like we see with
No.
UPS. UPS will pay X amount of money in taxes, they'll hire X amount of people. You can see that a lot clearer, in my opinion.
Yeah. So, let's see.
In the past, I think, wasn't there some documentation or mission statements that were developed for the EDC? Isn't there something of a
I
outline?
think there is one on the website,
Somewhere.
because we have
Yes.
a page.
Right.
Right.
And I think it's got like an overarching
Right.
mission statement.
Yeah,
Right.
I
So
think
that's what I went to, and I'm not like, I went to the website.
Yeah.
I find the website helpful, but it doesn't come out and say mission statement.
Oh, it doesn't?
But it gives you, when you talk about that overarching piece, I agree with you, it helps you to understand that this commission feeds ideas to the planning board and the select board. So I think that there is an opportunity to take that overarching piece and create our mission statement from it. Hearing about these recent events is really exciting, because when I went to the website, the latest event that I found on there, and I knew it was outdated, was a 2014 breakfast, but not these more recent.
that's the one they're talking about.
Okay.
No, just kidding.
Yeah. So those are the things I think when we think about updating the website with some of the
Yeah.
events.
Yeah, and I mean, we attracted at the one at Tufts, we got Senator Michael Moore there, obviously, some of the other local politicians,
I was there.
you were there.
Do we have any photographs or I mean, it's a good point that
we
Nicole
may.
brings up, because we might have some
Yes, we do.
information that we could use to update from the past
Yes.
several months, right?
So
That we
the
could.
meetings for that space, was that GFI partners that we're talking about?
We did
At
GFI,
Tufts?
they were there, but it was at Tufts, it was Grafton's Open for Business.
Yeah, no, I know, I'm talking about, you're just talking about permitting.
Oh, yeah, it's GFI Partners,
is,
yeah.
okay, all right.
Yep, which were at that event,
Yeah,
we
yeah.
talked
Well,
to
then
quite a
that's
bit.
the one that I know the principal very well.
yes.
I have pictures of Nicole with Senator Moore. I was taking a bunch of
Yeah,
photos.
we
I can't
probably
remember
have
if I
them,
took any of that
we might have them in the server, I can go through
okay.
and
Yeah,
one at
home for that.
Post Office Pub or not.
If I could make another suggestion, I think maybe, I think to Angela's point, is that we do some homework on different EDCs and what their mission statements are and what their thought process is. Because I gotta believe that will help us kind of gel or put together a little bit more concise of a thought process versus, small, big, whatever, medium, defining X, Y, and Z. I think we just need to kind of boil it down as quickly as possible so that we have a little bit more of a direction, to Laura's point, that we can start to get going and get some traction going.
Yeah, I know we used to have like a connection to someone on the Westboro.
Yeah, we had
EDC,
Todd Alexander
remember?
here, he
Yeah.
came in and had a nice conversation with us. I think, if there's a model or a modeled, in which we wanna follow, Westboro's EDC is obviously very effective, and, they've got Route 9 and 495 and all those particular, avenues for development, and they do a fantastic job. I know Marlboro's EDC is a very vibrant scenario. coming from Hudson, I grew up in Hudson, I know that the EDC in Hudson's pretty very well as well, redeveloping the downtown area and becoming more of a restaurant destination place. So I think we can do some homework and kind of see what those success stories have been and what their mission statements are and their goals, and maybe just kind of pick and choose it. There's no reason why we have to recreate the wheel. And
No,
make it,
true.
So why don't we just,
All right, well, why don't we each pick a town and make contact?
well, some towns might have one, towns might not, but I think we all, Marlboro and probably Westboro are places that we should all start and look at and kind of get an idea of. And
But I
we
mean,
can-
did somebody want to formally say, hey, I'll call up Marlboro or Westboro, or
we
you're
had-
just gonna research
Yeah,
it?
we had Westboro here, I mean, we can do that, I mean, there's no reason why we couldn't call them and have them come in or talk to us, whatever, but, I think we do some homework prior to that and
Yeah.
then, and kind of go from there.
So how do you envision doing the homework? Just research online?
Online, and kind of figure out, what success stories, I mean, the local area has a lot of success stories, I mean, you don't wanna go to Worcester, on the idea of an EDC for them is completely different than a town of 20,000 in Grafton.
Okay, so my point, does each of us want to take a town and research it and then come back and present what we've,
I think we all do some research on
Okay.
whatever town we look at, and then we bring it in and maybe try to kind of put it on a whiteboard and try to figure it out.
okay, well,
That makes sense, or, I could be wrong too, I mean,
I'm happy to take Westboro or Marlboro, whichever one.
I'm gonna look at all of them.
All right,
Yeah, so the goal is just to bring back some ideas for
Some thought
goals.
process, yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
That makes
however
sense,
we
yeah?
come about
It
it.
does. I think we're doing the research and we're gonna synthesize and put together a mission statement
Exactly, yeah.
with some goals.
Boil it down a little bit.
And maybe take a look at some of the events that people might be offering. I understand the comment about Worcester. Part of me thinks about what they do regionally that might be helpful, to benefit within, since we're a member within Worcester County. When I applied for the position, it was some of the feedback I got from the select board was saying, not to miss that opportunity to look at what Worcester County may be offering. And I don't think that you're suggesting at all to
No.
miss it. It's just you're identifying the size is
It's
quite
Yeah.
different. So,
I mean,
yes,
Was it the former lieutenant governor is the head of the Worcester Development, right? So, I mean, he's full-time job.
Right.
So we're talking about a professional staff and et cetera, compared to a volunteer,
Yeah,
group, commissions.
they have like a whole city council and
It's,
what in a town, how do some towns get like a chamber of commerce and other towns have more like an EDC? But an EDC is kind of doing the same thing a chamber of commerce does, right? Promoting businesses and,
Yeah, maybe from a 35,000-foot overview, I think that, you're being part of the municipality, you're looking at what the municipality can be doing to help local businesses or bring businesses in or, make Grafton a more vibrant place where the Chamber of Commerce is more business to business and how, what's going on in the area and how they can develop. It's kind of similar but different. And generally speaking, chambers of commerce are set up based upon wherever that organization found space, as well as the ability to attract enough people to be able to run the organization. So like Grafton, we are part of that Route 495 chamber. I've been to their meeting. There are some Grafton businesses that regularly attend.
yeah, I go to the Blackstone Valley
Yep.
one, they're a regional too.
Yeah.
it's interesting that Grafton's kind of in between the two.
Yeah,
You know, you have, I think it's corridor 9 that you refer to.
that's what I meant, yeah,
Okay,
sorry.
I just want to make sure.
Yeah.
There's
was a-
also like a 495 consortium or whatever.
Yeah, there was a 9 in there.
Yeah, exactly. So you have, they do mention Grafton, and you have the other side of that world is Blackstone Valley, and you know, most of Grafton, I would assume a larger, different percentage go the Blackstone Valley route.
Yeah.
And, you know.
Yeah, there are Grafton businesses in that one too. It's hard to, even at the networking events that I've been to, it's tough because it is so big, because it's a regional chamber and not like a more narrow, just town chamber. I was just curious, because I have friends who live in towns that have chambers
Yep,
too.
right.
So I was just curious what the
And I
defining
think-
factor is.
I think that's one of the things that we can define in the mission statement
Mm-hmm.
or the goals of the EDC. I mean, what do we want to have a portion of our charge to be
Business to
businesses,
business.
small businesses, and
Yeah.
the further development of them?
Yeah.
That, you know, that might
Well, because
be-
that
Yeah,
meeting
yeah.
at the post office pub was more similar to that. Like, it
Yes.
was bringing
Right.
business owners in Grafton together to
Right.
chat or collaborate or whatever.
I mean, I think there might be some value to it at a certain point of asking the head of the Blackstone Valley Chamber to come in and say,
Yeah.
Yeah.
how do we get more involved, and why don't we attract that same level that, you know, of attention that other towns get? And how do we
Right.
get more on the Chamber of Commerce radar and
Right,
and
right.
get that support? I think that's probably important. The other thing, I used to do this biannually, and I haven't done it since coming to Grafton, but I used to do a business forum, very similar to your post office pub idea. But the whole intent with that was, you know, people come in, we have refreshments and all that, and then it's to tell us what we're missing.
Yeah,
Because generally
Yeah.
speaking, those people know better than we do,
yeah,
and they'll have ideas that we haven't even thought of, not even close. So, you know, it's been 15 years since I was in the private sector. And so while I like to think I know a lot of the trials and tribulations of small business, you know, I've been on the other side of the table for too long, and you do start to hear different things and things that have changed over the years. You're not even aware that that's something we can do.
Right.
You know, you'll get the same, you know, get rid of the building inspector, change this thing.
Yeah,
do
yeah.
this. There'll be the same
Yeah.
core themes, but then there's always some gem that
Gem,
comes
hidden
out of there
gem,
that
yeah.
that you think, oh, we could do that.
Yeah.
That would be awesome. And
That's
then you
something we
run
can
with it.
accomplish, right?
Yeah,
Right.
well, I mean, it's just the idea that we're visible and we're an entity and a potential resource for them and them for us as well. So we want to be seen and, you know, not just in the background.
What's the status of, do you know anything about the master plan that if we were, that was a lot of the part of the post office pub meeting, right?
yeah.
Everybody
And
was-
we had done
Yeah.
that survey prior to, but we didn't, like, we never took an opportunity at that gathering to talk about like survey results with the business owners to see if we could
Yeah.
get more out of them as far as like what's
Yep.
missing or what are they struggling with. So that kind of got missed, but
Yeah, but,
there
I
an
mean,
update?
it's
Do you
just
have
definitely
an
something we
update?
can build on.
It's still in there, they're still meeting and finalizing, and master plans are not a fast
Oh,
process.
no, and like
No.
anything else.
But yeah, no, last I got a report, they were, you know, in that, let's say, the final 10%, and it was just kind of closing down some of the boxes, so. But yeah, I mean, that survey was awesome. It would be great to take that survey and then boil it down for the people in the room, but then also, people will say different things when they're,
Yeah.
when they're there.
True.
And somebody will say something over here that spawns somebody's, you know, imagination over here, and then you'll come up with some pretty
which
cool
is one of the
stuff.
things that we discussed as a follow-up after we had that first meeting. Like, maybe we
Right.
can refine this and then, if not do a full-blown presentation, at least get them to commit, oh, here, you know, could you fill out this thing? And it would obviously have to be short, because nobody wants to spend time at a meet and greet filling out surveys, but yeah, to your point, yeah, we did think of that. So, okay, does anybody else have anything else on this topic? Okay, so then the last agenda item for tonight, and we're doing pretty good here for your
Yes,
time
yes.
thing, is we need to vote on the EDC meeting dates, potential dates for October, November, and December. Now, I did take a look at the calendar on the town webpage. So our best dates for October would be either Monday, the 14th, or the 28th. The 21st is out because there's a town meeting that night, and we all want to be there,
I'll
of
be there.
course. Yeah.
What were the October again?
14th or the 28th.
Yep, the
I can't do the 14th, I can probably do the 28th, so.
Okay,
28th works for me.
either, yep.
okay, 28th works for me. Now that is, does anybody have young kids? Because I'm not sure. I don't think they're doing the Halloween thing on South Street on a Monday night.
No, it'll be on it'll actually be on
Yeah, the
Halloween
actual
on the
holiday.
1st, yeah.
Okay, so October 28th? Mm-hmm. Okay, does everybody agree to that one?
Yes.
Okay, terrific. Now, November, our options are November 18th or November 25th. Now, the 18th, that month, if you folks are free, might be better, only because November 28th is Thanksgiving. So if people are going out of town or just,
Yeah, the
Busy week.
18th would be better.
Yes.
okay, so November 18th. And then what I thought for December,
The 25th?
oh, yeah, right. And you can be Santa Claus and I'll be one of the elves, and yes. December 16th?
Works.
Yes. Thank you.
And we'll also have the option, just in case, because I know stuff happens, we'll also have the option of doing a Zoom meeting. So if somebody is late, you don't want to run out on December 16th and you're saying, oh my God, I have to shop, I have to do this, we can do it via Zoom. Okay, so that sounds good. So I think I will,
Can I motion for additional business or new business?
yes, absolutely.
All right, I think we do probably need to do a reorganization of the board or the commission. Anoint a new chair or et cetera, et cetera. Because right now, I think with Ray's departure as chair, Laura, were you vice chair or were you the secretary?
No, I was vice chair.
Okay. We probably should have a reorg of the group. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
Either now or when you have the full panel.
I think we probably should wait until the 28th, when we have the full, hopefully the full crew.
Agreed.
The select board member and hopefully the planning board member.
okay. Yeah, because things were just,
Yeah, no, yeah.
Changing faster than we could keep up.
I think you did a great job of.
Yeah, thanks
putting
for
this all
organizing,
together.
Laura.
Thank you very much.
yeah, I wasn't doing a power grab here.
Very appreciative of your
You
work.
stepped in like Al Haig.
Yes.
You did a great job.
Oh, no. Hey, I'm old enough to remember that.
Some of us aren't.
All right, Carl, nice guy here.
I mean that with all sincerity. I thought you did a great job.
Well, it was sort of pure propinquity. When I called John, that's how I found out.
Yeah.
And being a reporter and nosing around, it's like, I started calling and said, hey,
What's going on?
I guess, it's just it's the middle of the summer. Okay, so, we can do that. The last line item here, I will write up the minutes of the meeting, send out another, send in the email about the meeting dates for the rest of the year.
Perfect.
Find out when will we know, by the way, from the planning board, who the new rep is going to be? Because that person who was there, I guess, just for 2 months resigned.
Right, so I think that if history repeats itself, they will meet with the select board, appoint a member, and then the planning board will select who their representative is.
within, what, you think the next couple of weeks or
This is the
month?
government, so nothing's gonna happen in the next couple of
Okay,
weeks. So it's probably, you're probably looking at a month
okay,
by the time that all comes together.
I say I would think that the meeting on October 28th would be probably.
I would,
Yeah.
if, and I'm not on your committee and all, but I would think by the 28th, if you could get Craig and Sean here, that's enough to do your reorg discussion. As
Yeah.
you don't necessarily need to wait. It'd be great to have the planning board person, but I wouldn't
no.
wait on that.
I have to get a hold of Sean because in the past, he's complained that he hasn't been getting some of the emails. Not this time, although I did hear from him
Yeah.
that he was going to be here, so I don't know. All right, well, thank you for coming out, everybody,
To
and
adjourn?
yes,
And I-
motion to adjourn.
Thank you. I was just gonna say, in the email, you'll add that we're all gonna be working on the mission statement and the goals. So when we come
Yep.
back, for those that weren't here, that they're aware, because it will be
Yes.
several weeks before we're back together. Sounds good.
Yes.
Okay.
And I will
Thank you.
resend the original, the July 30th thing, just so everybody has it, and it's at the top of the pile again.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks, Evan.
Thank
Evan, thanks so much for coming out.
Thanks for having me.
Angela, nice
All
to
right.
meet you.
Very nice to meet you. So we're adjourned.
Yes.
Thank you.